All right, are we good?
We're live.
Okay, we have a quorum present. We can begin the meeting. Just a quick note, Sarah is online via Zoom meeting, and I'll try to position the mic so that we can hear her when she speaks. Sarah, would you say hello just to test that for us? Was able to hear her okay? All right. Chris is in the building. He is at National Honor Society for one of his children being inducted into the National Honor Society. So he will be joining us later. All right. Shall we stand and say pledge allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so first we have the approving of the agenda, which includes the consent agenda, minutes, invoices, and financial reports. We have a chance to look changes.
Move to approve. I'll second that.
All right. We have a motion by Mike, seconded by Jeff to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, we say aye.
Aye.
Sarah said aye as well. It was unanimous. All right. We can move on into and begin with what's going well.
Oh, you did the consent.
I did the
right?
consent agenda. I should say the
Approval of
overall
the
agenda. Yes,
Yes.
I'm sorry. I lumped them together a little bit. So everybody had a chance to look through the agenda. There's no changes to the agenda. Do we have a motion on the agenda?
And the financials and the minutes and
We, I did that out of order. I did it out of order.
Okay,
Yes. Send invoice, minutes, invoices, financial
sounds good.
reports. Okay,
Thank you.
all right. So tonight's agenda, we have a motion about tonight's agenda.
Move to approve. I'll second that too.
All right. A motion by Mike, seconded by Jeff to approve the agenda. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That was unanimous as well.
Thank you.
All right. My apologies, and now we'll move on to what's going well.
Good evening, everyone. Ann Boyson was unable to make it tonight, so I'm filling in for her. She organized a really nice event for our students last week during parent-teacher conferences. We called it the Service Fair. So it was a chance for lots of service organizations in our area to come in and just have tables set up to answer parents and students' questions. So some of the people that we had were Community Family Resources, ISU Extension, Berry Hill Mental Health, Iowa Central Community College, Family Crisis Center, CASA, Upper Des Moines Opportunities, DSOC, Pocahontas County Nursing, some law enforcement representatives, Pokie Hospital, and Prairie Lakes AEA. So it was a nice turnout of service providers. We of course wish we had more students and parents that had used that time to reach out, but we've already started kind of brainstorming ways that we can maybe change it up, maybe offer it in the fall, maybe during open house, maybe give some enticing motivational thing to students, like if you get signatures from everybody, turn it in, we'll give you a prize. I don't know, something to try to get that out there so that we have more people attend. But we want to thank those organizations for giving up their time that evening to us. And I want to really thank Mrs. Boyson, Miss Ann Boyson, for getting that done and organizing. So.
Thank you. Thank you for speaking on her behalf. Appreciate it. Any questions about the service fair?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could we also have, yeah, please.
Good evening. I wanted to share that we'll be having summer school this year based on our ESSA designation. So any student that is on an IEP, an individualized education plan, will be able to come for summer school from June 3rd to June 27th. The hours will be from 8:30 to 10:30, and that'll run Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Transportation will be provided, and we will provide a light breakfast as well on those days. Any questions on summer school?
The dates again?
June 3rd through June 27th.
And enrollment for that, if parents were interested in getting their kids signed up, what's the process?
We passed out permission letters at conferences last week, so parents are familiar with this, so they have that and they have the right to say they're coming or not coming, and so we will set that up based on the numbers we get back. We're starting to get some of those in already, so hopefully we'll have a good turnout for that. Also, I asked the preschool staff to come talk about adding 3-year-old preschool. So here are Paula Ulrich and Jessica Dexter.
Hi, Jessica's gonna go ahead and pass out some papers for you to serve. Kind of went big and bold, but that's what we were told to do. I'm Paula Ulrich and that's Jessica Dexter, where we'll have a preschool, just that way. And so, since we have some new faces on the board, we just wanted to give some background information about our preschool and what we do. So we are a NAEYC accredited preschool, so that's a national accreditation. We just completed our last accreditation for our program fall, and so we are accredited until May of 2029. We both hold our early childhood special ed endorsements and are both master level educators. And then, and super exciting news, both of our pairs, Brittany Holland and Lisa Holland, are both completed their paraeducator credentials, and we have those on file as well, so that's super exciting. Out at the preschool, we have opportunities every day for large group, small group, social emotional learning centers. We have music, snacks, books. We use our Haggerty, which is our phonemic awareness curriculum, and then the most important is, of course, recess to 4-year-olds and 3-year-olds. And then we also have a great partnership with a lot of people in our communities. And so I gave you a picture. Sorry, they're super tiny, but we have so many awesome partners in our community that are with us. So we go out to the dental office. Dayton comes from Pocahontas Conservation. I don't actually know who farms the field across from the preschool, but he was very gracious and let us come out and stand on our front step and watch him because they had been waiting all fall to see that happen. We went out to the vegetable stand and Murphy's have been very gracious with us. We came home with, I think, 3 pumpkins apiece, more pumpkins than we could carry. The firefighters came for Fire Safety Week. We get to go out to Wasco's Alpaca Farm, and then we also got to go to Pizza Ranch and to Bill and Lynn's barn in Bryna, and we got to eat donuts, so that was fabulous this year. So that's just some of the highlights that we do. So currently this year, we have 2 sections of 4-year-old preschool. We have 42 kids in total. In that program, we have 3 kids on IEPs. We have another one in progress, and 1 came into us via early access. So our plan for the 2024-25 school year is 4 sections of preschool, but we would like to add 2 sections of 3-year-old preschool. And the reason being, in my years being here, every time we would offer preschool registration, they'd be like, come on, we want 3-year-old preschool in our community. So I have kind of been a squeaky wheel in Tracy's ear and been like, we keep getting asked for this, we keep getting asked for this, how can we make this work? So our current proposal that we have talked in, we can make work with the numbers we have right now. We currently have 52 registered. So we held preschool registration February 22nd, and more keep coming in. So we have an AM and PM section of 4-year-old preschool, and then also an AM and PM section of 3-year-old preschool. The 3 and 4-year-old preschool would happen at the same time, so we would run 8:15 to 11:15, and then 12 to 3, and we meet Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Wednesdays are our days where we have meetings and a whole list of things that we usually never actually get done. We called around to the districts that are offering preschool in the area and to linking families, and $150 seems to be on the average high end of preschool that is being offered for 3-year-olds because it would have to be tuition based. And in offering preschool for $150 a month, scholarships would be available through Linking Families and Communities, which is an early childhood partner in the Fort Dodge area. So they help child care centers. They have scholarships for the preschool programs, and we are the first preschool that has approached them in years to be asked to be put on their 3-year-old list. So the amount of people offering it is kind of slim. So she was really excited to hear about it. So then I mentioned early access, and we really feel like early access is an important thing to just touch on real quick. It is a service that's provided through the AEA. And so if you are a parent or you get referred by your doctor, early access can come in through the AEA and provide services. You might need speech or PT or OT, or you might just need a little extra. So early access is only good until you turn 3. And once you turn 3, the parents get a choice. They get to either, if the child has made enough progress, they can be exited off and the parents are just good to go, or the parents can choose to have their child evaluated for special education, and then that's where we come into play. So at 2 years, 9 months, any child that is 2 years and 9 months, if they have needs that are qualified, they come to us. We do get children that come to us every year. So early access is important because when you think about little bodies, those 2 year, 9 month old kids are thrown into a room with 4 and 5 year olds. And if we have a 3-year-old preschool, it's just a little bit better fit with peers that are closer in age to them. So that is one of my big reasons, because sometimes those little itty bitties get kind of lost with big kids. And so that is another thing. And just, again, some more background information, because we do have new board members. Our 4-year-old preschool program participates in the statewide voluntary preschool program that was established in May of 2007. Pocahontas area has been a part of it since the beginning. And so we use the Creative Curriculum Gold assessment tool, and it's a research-based, widely held expectation. But the awesome part about it is that it covers birth all the way through 3rd grade. So we can still use that same tool and would be required to for 3-year-old. So then we have 2 years of growth in preschool if we have 3-year-old and 4-year-old. And so those kiddos, because sometimes we have we think this kid needs a little bit more, but we don't have super solid data quite yet. That would give us another year of just, this is how much we've grown or not grown, and maybe we can get some things in place sooner too. So that is just one of the other things. So this is just the beautiful colored band. This is just social emotional behaviors. So the red is not yet and like an infant toddler, and then the 4-year-olds are in the blue band. So you can just see that it's a beautiful rainbow, and we just keep making progress. So even if you aren't making progress, we can still see growth somewhat. And if you are already where you need to be, we can still see that growth continue on and see those higher flyers too. So it's super awesome. So again, at our preliminary registration, me and Jessica were kind of blown away. Tracy popped in and was like, hey, how's it going? And I was like, guess what? It's not even noon. And we've had 22 3-year-old families, and we'd had like 5 4-year-old families at that time. And every parent that walked through the door was like, we can't believe that we get to register our 3-year-olds for lunch or for preschool. And it was like, it's not even lunchtime. We've been here for less than 2 hours. So that data just showed us that like our community is really in support of it. So that is one thing. What are some of the benefits of 3-year-old preschool? Probably the main benefit is we're starting those 3-year-olds in our district instead of losing them to neighboring districts that are offering 3-year-old preschool. And no matter if we do 3 or 4-year-old preschool, we have the best job in the world because we're the first ones they get to see in the PAC district. We get to show them how much fun school can be and establish that love for learning. And then the 3-year preschool, we have seen declines of kids coming in. iPads, technology, all that things have made our finger muscles not as strong as they used to be. So if we start in 3-year preschool, our finger muscles get to be a little bit stronger. We have the social emotional skills that we get to build on as well as language development. And then when they go to 4-year preschool, we get to see that year of growth, and they already come in knowing the expectations of our preschool and all of those things. So they know where the bathrooms are, they know where we wash our hands, they know how to do all of those things. So that is just some of the benefits that really stood out to us. And then we do have the best job because we get messy a lot, but play is often talked about as if it were just a relief from serious learning, but in our preschool world, play is our serious learning, and it is really the work. It's their job. We just get to be the facilitators. So yeah, we are really excited for this opportunity. Any questions, comments, concerns? Sorry, I know that was a lot of information, but they told me to come prepared, so I did.
Yes, very good.
You always do them.
I do.
Okay, Paula, so preschool, like, I'm new to this, so 3-year-old preschool in the morning, do those same 3-year-olds come back in the afternoon, or is that the second class?
That would be the second class.
That's the second class.
Yeah.
So 4-year-olds the same way, so
Yeah.
is it half days, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday for our 3 and 4-year-olds?
Yeah, so we have different 3s and 4s in the morning than we do in the afternoon.
Okay, and does anybody get lunch?
No,
No, okay.
no, so they go back to daycares or grown-ups or wherever their home base is for the afternoon, or like if they're at home, they eat before they get to us.
Okay, gotcha.
So we do snack, which is really important.
Yeah, it is.
And we get to do cooking activities, which are really fun too, and slightly messy. Green eggs and ham was, it was very interesting to see how everyone cracked an egg. Mhm.
Do you think, you have adequate room out there? I know you're adding more kids, but you're gonna have more things for those 3-year-olds that you'll have. Different things for the 3-year-olds than you do the 4-year-olds.
So that's a really good question. So no, we don't really need anything else because we already have both of our classroom spaces. So out where we are, we each have our own classroom, and then the only shared spaces in our building are the playground, the bathroom, but that would be shared no matter where we were, the kitchen, and then our center time area. So since we are intentional with our plans and it's driven by the kids, all of our centers areas are set up in a way that are totally conducive to learning, whether they be 3 or 4. So like how our schedule runs right now is I start my day and then my kids, we immediately go out to our center time area, whereas she is doing all of her large group, small group snack, and then we just rotate. So really, nothing will change out there except for the age of the kids and how many kids we're gonna be able to serve in our community.
Good.
Mhm.
The number now that you have registered between 3 and 4-year-olds for next year ended up at what?
We're at 52 right now. I know we have another one sitting out there that we mailed out last week, so 53. 29 of them were 4-year-olds, and I can't do that math because I teach preschool, but the other ones were all 3-year-olds. Sorry, I wrote it down on my magic paper that I think I left at home.
It's fantastic. Appreciate everything that you guys are doing there, and you're exactly right. That really does help us get those kids into Pack early, help them establish that identity, and making it fun as you are is fantastic. And appreciate what you've brought us. And if you need anything, bring that to us too.
We'll let you know.
Please bring it to us if you need anything.
We're
We'll
good.
try everything we can to get you anything we can.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. We appreciate it. Oh, we are an island, but we have a great island, so yeah, it's fabulous, so. Perfect. Thank you very much for allowing us to share.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Francis?
Just do a quick update on the activities and stuff that we have going on right now. Start off with mock trial. They had just recently qualified for state down in Des Moines, March 28th and 29th. Our boys and girls track teams kicked off at Humboldt Indoor last Thursday and Friday. From talking with some of the coaches and some of the students anyway, they said things went pretty well over there. They enjoyed it, they're excited to get started. The outdoor meets, unfortunately, we got some cold weather, so they're kind of back inside, outside, a little combination of stuff to keep going here. Boys and girls golf started last week in practice with nice weather. Again, the weather hit us here, and now we're back to being indoors here for the meantime. Girls soccer started practices in Fort Dodge last week as well. Things are going pretty well on that. I talked with their coach as well as our 4 girls that are heading over there. They're excited about it. They're happy to be a part of kind of school organization with soccer anyway, kind of going forward here. Then lastly here, we'll be setting up kind of a coaches meeting with our baseball team, players, parents and stuff, kind of outline our expectations, our goals for the team, what the season is going to look like with new coaching personnel, going over some of the things that with that, you know, with like I said, the goals, what they kind of expect out of the coaches, expect out of the players, and so on. A couple things with that, they're having a joint baseball, softball youth camp. So one of the fun things with that is working with the 3rd through 7th graders, I believe, kind of giving them the skills kind of to move forward with their prospective sports going forward from there. Then the last part of that coaches meeting with the parents and whatnot, the AD portion, just for me going over some of the policies with them from the academic standpoint, good conduct rules and the like from there. So, so like I said, I just wanted to kind of give an update with where we're at with some of the activities and.
A couple questions.
Yes.
Baseball, softball, youth camp, 3rd through 7th grade, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Since 8th grade moves up into the high school.
We're
I'd have to double check for sure, but I thought that's what I saw.
And the reason I asked, that came up in the sharing meeting with Lorenz Marathon, and we will address that later, but just making sure that we get that invite out to the Lorenz elementary kids too, if we can, and incorporate those in the camp.
Yeah, we did that as well with our basketball stuff that we had hosted last fall.
Fantastic. Yeah, and they just gave great reviews back to your staff. The elementary kids loved that involvement and just said, bring us more, whatever we can do. If it's youth camps, sports, if there's any sort of early mock trial entry stuff, let's introduce them as early as we could.
Yeah, that's what we want to do. That's what we talked about last fall. We wanted to get the Lawrence Marathon kids as much involved as possible.
One other thing, just in the golf practice, there was some question about how the shuttling would work. How's that going, transportation wise? Everything going good?
Or golf, or for.
I said golf. I meant soccer, shared with Fort Dodge. And just getting the kids there to practice and back and all that. And they're happy. It's going well.
Yeah, so far so good with it. The things here anyway is just kind of getting them out on time, getting them there in that, hour drive that they have so that they're not missing any of that team intro, that team talk to coaches.
Yeah. Any other questions for Mr. Francis?
No, thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The other thing that when we moved our meeting to the third Monday of every month, the National Honor Society event was already scheduled. And we didn't catch that conflict when we did it. The board would normally be there and recognize it. So while we're still in the what's going well section, it would probably be good if we could step over, say hi to them, acknowledge the scheduling conflict, let them know we want to be here to recognize you. This is a fantastic recognition. So if you guys are okay with it, why don't we step over and
Already recess for
You
that?
did.
Already did it.
do we have to take a recess? We're going, I mean, we did.
It's up to you.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Someone would make a motion for.
So moved. I'll second it in recess.
We have a motion by Jeff, seconded by Mike for a short recess to go in and acknowledge National Honor Society. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Sarah? Unanimous. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, already did it.
He's still, you're right, I mean, so that was like, so, I mean, you said that, I'm like,
I know you're not sophomore, but I'm. Great. How was it though? Where was it? Quebec? Good, I'm glad.
And then, so I do my seat there.
Well, I said to come and help.
I told her it was okay.
But.
I didn't want to.
I thought about, like Amy or Eric or Andrea, that you were taking our duty today. Well, I even texted him this morning too.
I have it, remind me, and I don't.
Well, I didn't say, get a response, saying, yeah, I got it. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I better.
To hear Sarah? Or me?
I can't really hear you. This mic is here.
No, this mic isn't even on. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, much better.
Try again. Not very well. Let me see if I can get the volume up on this device.
Maybe try to tip the microphone down.
Try it now, Sarah.
Can you hear me? It sounds like you're having a lot of fun there. Feels better.
Yes, there we go. Now that they can hear you out in the crowd better.
Like any of us.
There you go.
I'm getting an early start this spring, Mike. Try on schedule.
Oh, God. We got 170 acres of corn plant, 52 acres of beans. Just work it all once. Paul's got his stuff, plant beans, he read this, that up. So I'm gonna have Lucy to cultivate everything, all set to go. He's gotta have some nitrogen. He'll probably have surpass put on. I gotta have surpass put on. But I already had my nitrogen, P and K, and everything put on, so. It'll go pretty quick once we get started.
Those are,
We're trying to get a plan put together, back together right now. Pull summer out for full, wait a minute. It was bad, now it's got some pits in it. They got this parts planner, so we're gonna pull that apart tomorrow, right? Try to get it fished out.
where do you get the cylinder?
Well, I'm not gonna even, we're gonna just, like I said, we got parts planner, so we know one of them's gonna be good, so.
Can I ask some parents, is your child just inducted or been there for you? I didn't know.
Sarah, are you back with us? Okay, well. We have everybody back. We have a motion.
So moved to reconvene.
A second?
All right, we have a motion by Jeff, seconded by Sheree to reconvene the meeting. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And it's unanimous. Okay, we are ready for elementary, we have no, yes, we have no public communication. So we are ready to move forward to the student council update to the board, which
Too short for this. So student council, today we had a conference in Mapleton. We only had 5 students join us today. We had Sister Shirley talk to us with Delilah May House about human trafficking. We learned about more about student council. We just learned a lot today. And so we had me and 4 other students join. We had Mr. McCullough take us. Winter formal, we had it with a hitch. We discussed ways to make it better. Maybe adding some games, food, and maybe hiring a DJ because it was a little bit wonky with the music, if I do say so myself. Anyway, seniors and freshmen are doing something for March at the end of the month for mental health, like a mental health day where we just chill, something like that. April, we're having sophomores and juniors do something where we haven't talked about it yet. We're gonna figure that out soon, but we'll have it before next school board meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good job.
All right, next on our agenda is the AEA purchasing agreement for 24-25. That is page 21. Yeah, let's see how they're numbered. Is 24 the electronic version? Okay. AEA purchasing, a little grocery cart at the top of the page. 21 of the printed packet, 24 in the electronic.
Page 21.
Congratulations. Made it just in time. We're the first actionable item, and it's the AEA contract. Second item under business on the agenda on page 21 of your packet. Okay, everybody had a chance. Joe, you have a statement on what this one is?
Yeah, this is a yearly purchasing agreement. The AEA contracts basically vendors to get a lower rate for the AEA system schools across the state. So this allows us to buy into that purchasing. So for example, our paper that we purchase for copy machines, we're able to buy in bulk by combining the entire state's purchasing in one time so that we get a better rate. We also do the same thing for our food service. So it covers a lot of different areas, but it's to get bulk purchase pricing So it's like the same thing as state level pricing at the government level, is really what it is.
Move to approve. I'll second it.
Yeah.
We have a motion by Chris, seconded by Mike to approve the AEA purchasing agreement for 24-25. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That was unanimous as well. And next item for discussion or approval is the ICC Project Early Bird Concurrent Enrollment Courses and Placement Testing.
So this should be about 4 pages back further into your packets. This also is a yearly contract that we do with Iowa Central. This allows for our college level courses. This breaks down the process in which they will actually do their billing, whether they're providing the instructor, whether our instructors are providing the instruction for a course. And we would recommend approval.
Was there any changes from the last year's contract?
Not that I'm aware of.
I move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Cherie, seconded by Jeff to approve the ICCC Project Early Bird Concurrent Enrollment Courses and Placement Testing Contract. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Also unanimous. Thank you. Next item up for discussion and vote is the disposal of obsolete equipment. And in particular, the old air compressor from the bus barn.
On the sale barn? I was gonna say, that's what I figured it was gonna go to. The auction.
Yeah, this will be for auction.
Any questions about that?
It's just all it is the old air compressor, nothing else.
I believe that's all we've got right now. Jeff, it's just the air compressor, Jeff?
What's that?
Just the air compressor.
Yeah.
That's all it is, okay.
I move.
Okay, Cherie and
I'll second.
yeah. We have a motion by Cherie, seconded by Chris to approve the disposal of the obsolete equipment, old air compressor from the bus barn at an auction. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Also carried unanimously. Next item for discussion is the Lorenz Marathon equipment available. There's a couple different categories of this, and Joe, if you could give us an update as to where we're at.
He's gonna set this over here for his hearing aid, a little bit better. So Lorenz Marathon has been kind enough to offer to us first some of their equipment that's still sitting in the high school. This would allow them to free up some space and provide benefit back to all the kids that attend PAC middle school and high school. We have a number of pieces identified. What we would like to do, I guess, is, do you have a timeline that you're trying to get it out by? Because part of it would be for us making space.
Ideally by summer.
Sure. And I think we can certainly do that. There were a couple question pieces. Is that something that you would need an immediate answer on as far as for sure's on stuff, or?
We mostly just need a yes or no, because we set at our meeting, I don't remember the timeline, but we set a time to open bid, because whatever you guys can take, we're gonna open up for public.
Sure.
Sealed bids to get rid of, because we wanna get that, like we talked about previously, we wanna get that space opened up and get cleaned out, so that Iowa Central has a quick scan.
Would it be best to work with Superintendent Wood then as far as which items get them tagged and then make arrangements for a timeline?
Anything that you guys just aren't gonna want, we're gonna put up for public bid.
So with the board's permission, I'll work with Superintendent Wood and we'll get items tagged and start setting up the process to get those items moved out, but certainly before the end of the school year.
And that would be both in the industrial arts area as well as the family consumer science.
Do we have room for these items at all?
We have some pieces of equipment currently that we're just sitting on that currently cannot be repaired.
So how many pieces of equipment are there? Like, I know we got a tag in front. Are we talking like a huge shop room full of stuff, or?
Yes, but not multiples of most things. We have a couple of vans on it that obviously your shop teacher looked at and said that they didn't want to cover them up, like they don't make it anymore, but a lot of the other stuff, when we had that fire in the shop, we got all new equipment through the insurance company. They didn't really get used it. So I think it's maybe 10 years old at most, but has not hardly been used. It's essentially new.
Yes, okay.
It's,
I know we've talked about this before, but
yeah,
I didn't know how much it was where we've got so much stuff, we can't even manage the shop.
it would be a good idea. I don't know if you guys had something you wanted to replace, something a little bit older, this is the chance that way.
Yeah.
Whatever you guys want, you got first dibs.
Sweet. Okay.
We really appreciate that.
Yeah.
That offer to give that and help both PAC and Ellen elementary students as they come in. Do we have a motion for board approval for transfer of that equipment?
So moved. Second?
We have a motion by Mike, seconded by Jeff, to approve the transfer of Lorin Marathon equipment that's available in industrial arts and FCS. And we will work with them before summer to get the items we want out. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Also carried unanimously. Thank you. Next item for discussion is to discuss and vote on moving to Let's Go Bound, and I believe that Mr. Francis will be presenting that.
All right, so what this software is Let's Go Bound. We have in the past, I think 5 or 6 years ago since COVID, was the Our School Today is what our school website's linked to for a calendar online. The Bound software, those that attended the girls regional volleyball tournaments, games, girls basketball tournament games, things like that, you would purchase that ticket through Bound. What Bound does is so much more than just the tickets there. They basically, in the last few years, they've taken over quick stats of what used to be used for the Boys Association, Girls Athletic Union, for all of our varsity contests. We got to enter in our stats, basketball, volleyball, football, all those things every week. The updates, the state use that for the rankings, scores, just make sure everything's up to date for them there. What Bound is and became was all these athletic administrators, ADs, their secretaries, created this separate system, basically for athletic directors that have separate calendars and accounts and everything in that there. For instance, right now, I have a separate Google calendar for gym space right now, so use the Farmer Gym, the elementary, the high school gym. We have our school account that I update for our school website that gets linked to there, and then I have our Bound one as well for all of our scheduling that goes into from there. So what I'm kind of asking for is a kind of moving point to basically bring everything into one Bound. So it gives me just kind of one calendar altogether. This link then can go to our website, so we're replacing our school altogether. Right now, what we pay is about $500 up front to utilize the scores and everything from Bound. What that would do then is that would pull that upfront cost away. They would get their fees more or less from the tickets, just like we saw with the regional tickets and things like that. What that is I think that price is 90 cents on each ticket that is sold. We would have our passes that would kind of eliminate that cost for our fans anyway. So those that are coming in from, say, Fonda or others would have that fee attached to their tickets instead of ours. The other side of that, Ann Boyce and myself, we take care of the concussion forms, the physicals, everything that comes in. Right now, we get all paper copies of that. What it does, this allows them to, when they register in July for school, they can take these documents and upload right in there, and basically it takes out the guesswork of when a student turned it in, did their physical expire, which would prevent them from practicing or playing in any of the sports from there. So what that would do is say, come football season, if a quarterback's physical had expired, Coach A wouldn't be able to put that quarterback into his roster until that physical is updated and shown that way. So it kind of takes that legality side of things where we'll be taking somebody that's not got the registration or forms in from there. So it eliminates a lot of those things. It would also put us into the digital ticketing, so just like we had to do with Bound, through those regional contests, they put everything for us there. They had mentioned that we would not have to be 100% digital, but they would like us as close to that as possible with that. The other part of that, we can communicate, parents, players, community members through the messenger app, social media, through emails. Would be some of the things that we use that for. They've talked about the sponsorship and advertising, which they've just actually pulled that from Bound, and everything is now 100% to the school. So if we want to go out for revenue stream for our student activity fund, we can go out or I can go out and do that myself and set up those sponsorships through local businesses and go like there. So that'll help kind of, it'll put some, money into our fund anyway, but allowing us to kind of go out and purchase things for our student athletes and other activities from there. One of the other things here, kind of what we're looking at, when Mr. Kramer and I had a meeting with the Bound rep a couple weeks ago, we had 5 current police conference schools inbound already. Some started last fall. Some had gotten into it as recent as January. And he had mentioned that there were 3 other schools in addition to us, so 4 total that are looking to move to Bound already for next year as well. So anyways, that's kind of my pitch for that anyway. We're looking at, the rest of the conference is kind of already doing that. Some of the schools, Spirit Lake and Esterville, have done that as well, that are on our schedules. It kind of seems to be that shift going forward here, kind of away from our school today into Let's Go Bound and moving forward. You guys have any questions or?
Which sports it covers?
It covers everything here. Actually, I had just a call asking me today about student council, for example, at their meeting that they were at. He had asked to get him added to that. So under our current system where we're at with him, student council is not part of that program right now, but if we were to do Let's Go Bound, be able to add student council, we can get their newsletters and everything as part of that as well. But anything that deals with the schedule there. So Mr. Waller has an FFA meeting in his room or in here. I can schedule that on there. Drill team can be part of it, so we have all sorts of, I can make, with the Bounce help, we go through creative programs for any of the sports activities that want to be involved, and they can have access to this account, and then they can share everything with their parents, community members, players, students, whatever it might be.
It adds a lot of additional value in different places, and it also adds some avenues, as you mentioned, towards giving us revenue streams. Is there any kind of estimate that you could give as to when it would be net zero or better for an additional investment? How soon would that return to where that could actually be a positive income stream? Even without that flipping in the next year even, you're adding a lot of value, and I don't want to not take him away from that. Just wanting to, is there any estimate of what other districts make using this product financially?
Right now, what I've kind of heard from our other ones, conference-wise, is they're looking at, they haven't even gotten into the advertising piece of it just yet. They just looked at it from a digital ticketing standpoint. We're like, when I set up our staff to work these events here, all they have to do is have their phone and just scan the ticket. They don't have to worry about getting cash that particular date, if there's vacant dates, anything along those lines. I can just have anybody do that. They've said it had a staff member and a couple of student council members do this, because all they need is their phone to do that.
Easy use.
No money exchanging or anything along those lines.
Fantastic. Any other questions for Mr. Francis? All right.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Do we have a motion related to moving to Let's Go Back?
So moved to join that.
Motion by Jeff, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion by Jeff, seconded by Chris, to move to Let's Go Bound for athletic department. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. I couldn't quite make that out, Sarah.
Yeah, aye.
Aye, okay. And so that was unanimous as well. Okay, next on our agenda is early graduation requests. I believe we have two.
This,
Yes.
so moved.
Page 28 and 29 in the electronic. 26 is great. We have a motion by Mike,
I'll second.
seconded by Chris, to approve the early graduation for those two students. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Also unanimous here. Okay, next is the district developed special education delivery plan and committee members.
Printed pages should be around 29, your packet. Electronic's going to be off by 2, I believe it is, from that.
Starts on 30, yep.
So just one. This is a process. What we're asking the board to do tonight would be to approve the committee so that the next steps can be put into play, which would be to have the actual committee review the current special ed delivery plan. So this was last done as a joint one with Palmer and Pocahontas area. It needs to be updated, and it's time for that to process since we've been together now for some time. You have a list of parents, special ed teachers, general ed teachers, administrators. Needs to be a board member as well in this group. Not sure if Jeff's been asked yet, but because of his background, we thought that might be a good fit if you would be willing to do so.
Okay.
And then this committee will then review the last plan and then make recommendations back for any changes, in which case then the board would approve the final plan.
How is our,
Yeah, that's fine.
how is our staffing in the special ed department? How many of them are represented here? I see 4 special ed teachers, is that?
What you see right now here is 2. Yeah, you've got roughly 3 from the elementary and 2 from the high school represented. And then you've got another one who actually wears 2 hats, which would be Mrs. Brinkman, who's also an instructor, but has students as well.
And this is an area where there's
Children.
the calculation, right? Level 3, level 2, level 1, and how are we sitting on that?
We're currently down a half instructor at this time, but we're looking for that hopefully to be different for next year.
And Jeff, were you?
Yes.
Yes, you had
Yes,
your.
gladly do that.
Any other questions anybody has on?
What does DDSDP stand for?
That's that acronym, the District Developed.
District Developed Special Ed Delivery Program or Plan.
So are we on page 27 and 28 as well then? Is that
It's 3
3
pages
pages?
total.
Okay, so what does that SIAC stand for? Anybody know?
So you're on the
I'm on page 27.
first page, yearly
The first,
SIAC meeting topic, that one,
yeah,
under bullet 2.
That's School Improvement Advisory Committee.
what is it?
School Improvement Advisory
Okay.
Committee.
Okay. No, just when I was reading it last week, I was like, I'm not sure what that is. So,
Jeff, you're leading this, is that what I'm hearing?
No,
Or what background did you have and that I'm,
well, one of my daughters was in special ed. So I
Okay.
learned a lot of how those programs work and challenges that parents have of getting their students past high school and all that.
okay.
Yeah.
Sorry to,
No, that's fine.
I didn't mean to.
No,
we're trying to understand.
ask questions, that's
Oh,
fine.
yeah.
Yep, it has personal firsthand knowledge to help represent
Yep.
parents in that equation.
Yep.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Chris, seconded by Sheree to approve the District develops special education delivery plan and committee members. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, thank you. Next item up is the 505.8 board policies. Joe, if you give us a little background on that one as well. Page 30.
27, I think, on the printed side. So 508.8 is a policy that has been updated within the last 5 years. However, the state wants that updated every year. So we are among a group of districts that now need to have this updated yet again in order to comply with the annual requirement. There is no recommended changes to the plan itself other than to the board to approve it, put it on final reading if you so wish, and then we will upload the board agenda minutes to the Department of Education showing that that has been completed.
Nothing's changed since 2020.
Nope.
So moved.
Second.
Waive the second reading.
I'm going to, yes, I'm going to, Mike, we have a motion by Mike, seconded by Jeff, that the first reading is done. We're going to waive the second reading and place on final reading board policy 505.8 with your vote approval. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, next is Pomeroy facility progress and the update on the RFP. So, go ahead, Joe.
Okay. You're welcome to hit it.
Yeah, we don't have any formal RFPs back yet, okay? We did have somebody request to come in over the weekend and look at the building after the RFP was technically closed. They do have some interest, and there were two other people who had committed to Mayor Pomeroy or one of the interested citizens who was following up on this, that they would submit an RFP. I've asked both of those folks to follow up and get that information back to us as quickly as they can. In the meantime, we would then need to decide what we would be doing going forward. What is basically being proposed by this group is, would we be willing to allow them to take it and divide it into sections, where one section buys one portion of the building, basically the southeast portion, one interested party, northwest portion, one other interested party, center portions and gem might be something that the city itself is interested in. No further information would be disclosed with that at this point, but we need to tidy that up quickly and move on, right? So where that stands, I will work with the Pomeroy mayor and Mr. Kramer and this other citizen who said they did an RFP coming in to get that information back, and we will push that information to the board within a week from today. Okay? Really nothing to vote on there.
It might be good for the board to approve extending your deadline since the board approved your original
Yes.
draft, maybe.
Yes, very good point. And I did neglect to say also that although it might save us money if they divide it into sections, there would have to be some engineering involvement to look at whether that was possible. And that's something we would have to work with Pomeroy, that they would pay at their expense, not that we would carry it. So our RFP date has ended what we had voted for before. So is the board okay? Do we have a motion based on the proposal that I just gave you of how I would like to gather that information back and get it pushed out to you in the next week?
I'll move to approve to extend the Pomeroy facility progress vote.
For how long, Sarah?
I think we came to this early. I think April is reasonable in case something were to happen over the next time period.
So 12 days, April 1st is what you're saying?
I say
Yeah.
go till June. And that's what I think. If we've got the opportunity to do this and they need some time, 12 days.
There were other portions, just remember that after the RFP, there were a couple other stages that would also come before we could.
I know there's a motion. Are we able to discuss yet?
Not yet.
Okay, go ahead with the vote.
Okay, I'm just getting clarification, so
Or a second.
Sarah's motion, if there is a second, was to extend the RFP into April 1st, did I understand you correctly?
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Okay, so motion by Sarah, seconded by Chris, to extend the RFP to April 1st. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, please say nay. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so motion carries.
I didn't vote yet.
I'm sorry. Yep, go
So how
ahead.
many did we have for,
Right now, you have 5-1.
okay, I'll go with Dustin.
Yep, 5-2. Okay, so motion carries, 5-2. However, go ahead, there's discussion, what was I?
We're done, right?
We're done with that motion.
Okay. We have an opportunity to do something with this. In 12 days, yeah, that's a big building, to come up with a plan. So if that's our hard cut date, then, I mean, it is what it is at this point, but.
I get what you're saying on
I
that.
mean, that's just
But I also
to get a
look at it
proposal
this
in,
way.
right?
They've had 4 months.
Well, it's summer, nothing's going.
Yeah, I know, I get what you're saying,
Yeah.
100%.
This is
But
just to get their
Spring,
proposal,
summer.
right?
And this is just to get an
Just a
initial
proposal.
proposal in.
And
And-
and we like to kick things down.
We kick
the
things
road.
down the road way too much. We can't continue to kick this down.
Right.
It just,
And I totally understand. I'm just saying, be smart about this, because if we can get rid of it and save a ton of money.
I agree, that'd be my first objective.
Yes.
We've talked about. it.
so, again, we define what that RFP has to be. If we get some feedback, even if it's an initial proposal that they're defining, hey, I don't want to buy the whole building, I'm interested in this section, that kind of thing, that will open the door for more conversation. What we have to do between those interested parties is get that back to this board, so we have something to talk about soon.
So what if it isn't done in 12 days?
Then they just need to give us a statement of interest, tell us what they're interested in, and get that back here so we can talk about that and what they're trying to do about it. But we can't keep dragging on forever.
I understood. I understand that. We gotta be very cautious and smart. in how
Yeah,
to
and
do
we
it.
don't
Well,
want
it's just
we're not
to get
slamming
the
the door.
proposal in.
Yeah.
And that's necessary that, let's get this moving.
Committing to doing one thing or the other,
Yes.
let's just say, okay, I'm an interested party,
Right.
and make it be known that way.
Well, very.
As of now, it's all so secretive, it's this anonymous group here.
Exactly.
We don't need any
There's-
more of that.
Other than telling us that there's interest, nobody's been able to give us anything substantial to bring here, and we have to move on.
Yeah, okay.
So then we meeting April 1st, or what are we doing?
We will push that out to the board. That's the deadline to get an RFP back. If we get an RFP back, it opens other discussion for us. If we don't get an RFP back, it would still come back before us either way at our April board meeting for what do we do next.
I know I'll continue on with Pomeroy Bill, you know, we're having problems with the fire alarm. Joe, can you attack that? And Mike, let us know what's going on. What's that?
I went down that estimate today.
Okay.
Call that info, find out that cost of it's our responsibility to call fire marshal, call labor.
Yeah.
Put those in, upgrade your classroom. So people, voice activated. That's up to the fire marshal. He said no.
No to the waiver? Okay. But it's a possibility that fire alarm could be updated, just the board with the waiver. If the fire marshal says it's okay, right?
But then it'll be another month before it's done, so, stuff like that.
Sure.
They gotta work stuff on, and they gotta put it all together, and they gotta find time, so that's why.
So about 3 weeks. Okay. Insurance wise, I know you couldn't.
He's basically saying that would be middle to end of April before anything could be done as far as an install of a replacement fire alarm panel, if that decision was made. And then it would also be contingent on the fire marshal giving approval not to bring the entire building up to code at that time. Because the normal process would be to have to bring everything up to audible alarms and announcing versus just the siren going off, which is what the current system had. So that estimate was $3,620 without tax. That would be just materials, installation, and programming.
That was for the fire alarm panel, if we could get the waiver approved.
Right. Now, one time, Joe, you said parts weren't available. This is just.
The existing panel there are no parts available for them to simply replace
Oh, so this would be.
the
a whole
circuit
new-
board. This is a whole new panel.
Okay.
Just the panel to
Yep.
keep it up to snuff and everybody's safe if we're still using it. Which will, I think, will help the RFP plan, possibly.
It depends on what they're gonna
If we
use,
can get in.
it depends what they're gonna use it for. If
Sure.
They're not required to have fire alarm system, it's not necessary.
Yeah. But for us to continue to do this RFP plan, I think it's important for us to have that. To keep the door open so you can go in there and look at it.
You're still gonna have to get the waiver from the fire marshal.
Sure, that's the first step. Yep. Is this covered by insurance? Do you want some more information? or-
I think we would need more information to review it and make sure that we know what the usage of the building is gonna be, so that we can know the waiver is going to satisfy what the building is being used for insurance purposes. We would need to work with the school board and Joe and the fire marshal together to have some more information to assess that.
For usage at this
For
point.
usage, yeah,
with
to
the
see
school.
if that repair would actually be okay for whatever usage you have with the school right now,
Sure.
or going forward.
I know it's kind of hard to do. Thank you.
Anything else on the Pomeroy RFP? We'll come back to the Pomeroy City Council meeting when we come to the PR committee later in the agenda. Anything
Okay.
else on the fire alarm, the building?
Is anybody concerned about having fire alarm up and running? I think it's sat a couple of weeks anyway without us.
As long as the door's locked and nobody's in there, it's not a big deal.
Okay.
Because technically, we can't even insure it right now, right?
We're insured.
The building is insured.
We're insured. We just can't let people in.
People in,
Can't
okay,
let
that's
it-
what I'm
can't let
getting
people
at.
in.
We just have to, ensure the safety of the building, which is why there's no one in it.
I can relay some past experiences with that, some of which are maybe more severe than what you're dealing with, although I'm not positive of everything you're dealing with. The fire alarm system being one, and we went through some of that, the asbestos. A number of years ago, I got a phone call from Mike Wright, who was the superintendent at that time, and said, "Hey, Tom, we wanted you to come up to the Rolfe building, we have some rec calling out of the building." And I said, "Well, Mike, I don't need to come up, it's covered there, I'll just turn the loss." And he said, "No, we'd really like you to come and look at the building." I said, "I'll be right up." Jeff, were you on the board at that time?
I was.
up there? Were you in
Yes.
the whole back room when I showed up? That time, they took me upstairs to the attic of the gymnasium. There's a gap in the wall I can see outside, about this big. I said, we came back down to the home ec room, and I said, my responsibility is to notify the insurance company of anything I know. We are obligated, anything we know, we have to let them know. Anything they know, we have to let you know, that's our responsibility. I was so uncomfortable with what was going on. Mike Lodebar on the board too, was he one in the room?
No, not at that time.
I don't remember who was all in the room, but whoever was, Mike Wright, yourself, I said, I'm gonna report this to the insurance carrier, and have them send up one of their safety inspectors. I think you're probably obligated as a board to notify the state fire marshal and get an opinion from him.
We've done that, correct?
You know, it's the board's responsibility to assure safety for the students and the general public. I was told the board I'm gonna go back to the office and turned in the claim. At that particular time, my cell phone service was terrible involved. So when I got to the intersection of 15 and 3, I pulled over and called the head of the underwriting department for the school and said, I want this to go in the permanent record for the school, that I, as the agent, am recommending that that building not be occupied. They got put in the record. They sent up a safety person the next day. I wasn't there with him. That safety person came and looked at it, came back to my office and said, we're not going to be on this risk. They don't back into the building. It's too unsafe. And then the procedure followed from there. You know, as a board, if you're going to make a mistake, it's a whole lot easier to say, yep, we made the mistake and close the building and it didn't need to be. To answer to the public when you have to say, yep, we made a mistake and we have these people injured and now we're in this litigation. Those are the choices you have to make. I think it's pretty simple. And the case up above is probably more extreme, but those are decisions that you have the state fire marshal look at it. He says, yeah, you let anybody be here. The asbestos part of the building, you only have workers in there. You know, unless somebody on the board has the expertise to pass judgment on the safety, you know, you don't want to do that.
Sure.
That
And
is
we're not,
priority safety.
and we're not trying to do that. I mean, we've got the building chain, nobody's in there. We've contacted the state fire marshal. We're looking for their approval to the panel change we want to make before we would take the chains off and let people in for any reason. The asbestos removal, that we have processed already, but we are not letting anybody in the building right now until we have this fire alarm issue resolved. I do appreciate your insight and advice, and you're helping us make sure that we're staying on track. We have contacted who you recommended. We are keeping people out, keeping them safe. We're going to keep doing so until we have those other I's dotted and T's crossed. All right. Any other questions about the Pomeroy building? All right. Next is a presentation by the principals on the future ready data.
So you can see it up on the big screen. Here it is behind you.
That's way easier to see.
Okay, we have a song that we wrote for you. No, I'm just kidding. That would be fun, wouldn't it? Okay, so first of all, there are, at the top, the prep trend lines, which represent data going back to 2012. And this shows kids who said they intended to go to a post-secondary institution, kids who did in fact enroll within 1 year after graduating, kids who persisted for a second year, that's the square line, and then students who completed within 6 years. So that's interesting data if you look back 10 years. Notice the drop around 2019, slowly gaining more traction as we come out of COVID, but still not as high as we used to be. So I think that's an interesting look at students' plans after graduation.
Next, if you look at the preschool participation, that's 86% of our kindergartners attended preschool the following year. And you can see that black dot with the line, that's the state average, so we're a little above that. If you look at the circles to the right under academic performance, the first circle there is our K-3 students who are at benchmark in the area of literacy. At 61%, we're just slightly under. The next one is our ISAPS data that we will be taking here in April. So this is last year's data. At the elementary, we were 66% proficient, just slightly under the average. Then if you look at our math data, at the elementary, we were at 76% proficiency, which is slightly above. And then in math, we were at 72% proficiency. I'll let you talk about her grade levels.
Okay, so 6 through 11, in ELA, English Language Arts, 73%, 73% in math, and then 72% on the most right-hand circle, and that just indicates that science, the only students who have to take science state tests are 5th, 8th, and 10th graders. So that one is different, it's not given to all the students the way that reading and math is. And we have conditions for learning, which ask students a lot of different questions about their time at school. Student-to-student relationships is the first one. So these are kids who scored positively on all items across each construct. So 3rd through 5th graders positively said 83%, 6th through 12th graders said positively 25%. So only 25% of our students reported having positive student-to-student relationships in grades 6 through 12.
And you can see the state average there is the red line.
So
we're not-
we're down, yeah.
Right. When you look at the physical safety piece, at the elementary, we were at 60%, right at a little above the state average. The high school was down a little bit at 34%.
That's pretty self-explanatory across there.
And this data is from last year, a survey taken at the end of last year, right?
Correct. Mhm.
And there's a lot of positive things that have been happening in both buildings in addressing these things. What kind of things have happened in the last year that are impacting that in the positive direction that you guys are seeing and driving for us?
I would say from a middle school standpoint, the cell phone policy that we tried to adhere to, I think has helped student-to-student relationships. I think it has helped them feel emotionally safer in school. And I think we're improving on our expectations and boundaries slowly but surely. Every day is challenging sometimes. Just having very clear expectations as to what kids can and cannot do, so.
And I think you notice too, a big discrepancy between elementary and middle school, high school data, and that's consistent across the state. So we're not much different than a lot of other schools in the state at this time. Just so you know, the conditions of learning is a survey that's federally mandated. We have to give it to students. We no longer have to give it to staff or community members. The next one there, when you look for.
Just the emotional safety, and it's not just us, and I'm glad you pointed that out. The whole state is looking at that. What kind of questions are being asked in that area where students across the state of Iowa, us included, are low in that category? What kind of things is in that survey? What is the emotional safety asking them?
Just off the top of my head, it's things like, I've been made fun of by a peer 2 times in the last week, or 3 times, or 4 times, or, they give us all those. I have to dig in to see what they are exactly, but we do have access to those.
And with that, we'll be giving it here on April 15th. And so parents will be receiving a letter on that, and on that, they can click on a link and it'll take them through some sample questions so that they can see that. And that's one of those that they have to opt out if they don't want their kid to take. So there's a form attached to that as well. So they'll be getting some information on that coming up here shortly. As you look at chronic absenteeism at the elementary, we're at 24% in 2023. I think this is for fall of 2023. And the high school was at 30%, which is the percentage of people who were absent 10% or more days. Actually, 21, is it 21? So we have some work to do in that area. It's interesting to note that when you look at the school report card that the Department of Ed puts out for every district in Iowa, they are now, the last I heard, going to remove the conditions of learning survey, take that piece out of the formula that gives you your report card data and put in absenteeism in its place. Is that right, Joe?
That's correct.
So they are moving away from the conditions of learning and headed towards absenteeism. And I think all districts have a lot of work to do in that area. I know at the elementary, one of the things we're doing is for when parents don't call in, we are calling them by around 9:30. We give them that opportunity to call. If they don't call in, then we call them. And if they don't answer, we leave a message that you have an hour to reach out to us and let us know where your child is so we know they're safe. And if not, then we're going to send a police officer to the house to check out the welfare check. That's helped get us some kids back to school. Some of them are sleeping, they missed a bus or things like that. So we're able to reach out and get them back in school where they belong.
Graduation rate, this is the number from 2022. 94% of our students graduated within 4 years. And then FAFSA, this is from 2023 spring data, the percent of high school seniors who did complete their FAFSA. So it's just a way to track like who is looking for financial aid for post-secondary education. And then post-secondary readiness data, the percent of kids who took the ACT, SAT, and since that is an optional test for many colleges now since COVID, we're seeing fewer numbers of that. We were able to offer it here at the district last year, and I think we have plans to do that again. 79% of our kids took college-level coursework, which is higher than the state average. And 90% of our students are CTE concentrators, career and technical education concentrators, much higher than the state average. This is kids who take at least 1.5 Carnegie units worth of some kind of CTE courses.
Sarah, did you have a question?
Yes, I was wondering if we were able to offer an ACT like prep course, kind of like we do Trevor said, if there would be like any way to do a weekend, that seems to be an area that was weaker. And I know there's ACT prep courses, but it may be more engaging if it's some of their peers doing it with them. I don't know if there's any opportunity for that.
Sure, we can look into that.
I would love to send my kids to a Saturday morning class for ACT prep.
I was gonna show you the high school or the state by report card.
What would they say?
They're going to show us the state of Iowa report card. It'll be on the screen over my shoulder.
Technology is great for words.
Yeah.
While you're bringing that up, I do just want to thank you guys for coming. When those surveys come out and parents see it and we don't have real context and helping walk us through that, understand where we compare to the state, what we're doing about those things, that's very powerful and important. And I appreciate you guys coming to do that tonight.
So this is just another measure that we have. You'll hear the governor, she puts out a press release that says the report cards are ready. This is the elementary report card. And so you can see the designation that we have an ESSA designation for our student with disabilities population. So that's why we have the summer school. And then it's just a different way to look at all the data. Here's our test scores, our proficiency, has the conditions of learning, what's our goal for the, in math, what's our growth in reading, what's our proficiency levels. And up in here, I'll go back to the top, get up to the top, you can look at learning measures and additional metrics, and you can see some of that same data. There's the conditions of learning. You can go across the additional metrics.
Is this through the AEA website?
No, this is Department of Ed. So if you Google Iowa or State of Iowa report card, a page pops up and you can put in Pocahontas and then you can look by building. So this is the elementary, gives you your rating, commendable at the elementary. I don't remember whether we acceptable at high school. So this is just another place where you can find all that data. It's already compiled for us. And so that you might hear on the news when she comes out and says the report card is ready, this is what she's referring to. And it has the same data that we just put up before for the future ready data. So the place that families can go look for information if they choose to do so. So.
Thank you. Any questions about the student ready data or report card? Yeah, greatly appreciate you guys coming to get context to that.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is discuss approve the modifications to board policy 213. This is our second reading of the change to public participation in board policy, in board meetings.
So that's first page.
I didn't see it in the board packet.
She's right.
Can we act on it without being in there?
You can, it's a second reading. So you
That's
approved
okay.
the first.
Second reading, we approved the first. I'll move to approve the second reading. I'll second it.
We have a motion by Chris, seconded by Mike, to approve the second reading of the 213 public participation in board meetings. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Okay. Next item up is discuss approve really great reading student workbooks for 5 years. And this one is some good use of ESSER monies to save us monies downstream. Rather than giving that money back to the state, we're gonna use it for some things that will help us with recovery, learning loss, recovery learning, and spend ahead on some of those areas. So
Still have ESSER dollars left?
We do for learning loss.
Okay.
That's what will cover the summer school this summer, is that learning loss component. So those are set aside dollars that can only be used for certain purposes. So this will allow us to capitalize on those dollars so that they're not coming out of your general fund.
Right.
And by buying ahead, you're actually gonna see savings going into future years.
How long will that persist? How many more ESSER dollars will we see in the future?
We have to have it set by the end of this fiscal year.
It's the end of this fiscal year, okay.
This is really just for workbooks and also online subscriptions.
ESSER dollars.
So you heard Tracy, she said this is workbooks and online.
So this
Resources.
eventually will, for 5 years. So it will be a recurring cost maybe in 5 years.
After 5.
Okay.
Have we already bought these items? Did we already buy them?
We're currently using it.
Currently using them? Okay.
do we have a motion about the really great reading student workbooks?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second
A motion by Chris, seconded by Jeff, to approve the purchase of the really great reading student workbooks for the next 5 years. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, motion carries. Next, one of the more exciting and positive portions of our meeting tonight is our tentative collective bargaining agreement. And the bargaining committee, myself, Sarah, and Cherie, we have reached a tentative agreement with the teachers. Would like to cover that for the board. Sarah was very excited and wanted to present this part of it, but felt it would be tough doing this remote, so I'm gonna read through these real quickly with us. There were ultimately 7 different elements that we focused on with the teachers, and I do want to start here. They came to this negotiation with a very collaborative understanding of where our new monies were at, where our ESSER funds were, et cetera, and really helped us work with a forward view of what we'd like to achieve together over the next 5 years. Very collaborative. We, a couple meetings, we came to an agreement at the first, basically possible meeting where that could. This is the first board meeting after that. And so, so here is the tentative agreement information for 24-25. One, we will be giving a $1,250 IPERS covered stipend to be paid to all teachers, have to be paid on December 1st and have to be paid on May 15th. This is a one-time voluntary retention bonus from the school that may or may not be renewed in future years in the employer's discretion with consultation of the union. The intent is for this to be IPERS covered stipend. But if IPERS determines it is not covered wages, then the district will comply with the IPERS requirements. Approval by the school board will be done, and this would not be included in the contract. Instead, it would be included in the cover letter with the contract. Because it's voluntary from the school versus required in the contract, that actually improves the likelihood that IPERS would agree with us that this would be IPERS covered. And we're trying to align this as best as possible for that possibility. So this would include, we're still asking for the return of the contracts in 5 days, but that would be in the cover letter, not in the contract. Next was teachers who have been employed by the district for 10 plus years will receive longevity pay. And the employment years do not need to be consecutive. Third was the teachers who covered class periods at the middle school, high school when a substitute teacher could not be found will receive $10 per period covered. And at the elementary, teachers who cover 30 to 45 minutes when a substitute cannot be found will receive $10 for that time period. This will be for when someone covers or a teacher who is absent for a full or a half day, or when a teacher is absent to supervise another school activity. These will be consolidated payments made in December and June. And the recommendation for implementation will be shared with management, who would be responsible for implementation. So basically, the teachers will then work with the administration to formalize the policy, and then they would bring that back to management for how we would pay it out. Next is a detention that would run at the middle school, high school for 30 minutes at the end of each school day. 2 teachers would cover that detention. Detention monitors would be paid $20 for each session, Monday through Thursday, and $40 on Friday. Those payments would be made in December and June. This is also a handbook edition. This is also something that the teachers have drafted up a concept that they'll review with Andrea and ultimately finalize into that handbook policy. This was one of the things for improvement of the environment and the quality of life of the students and the teachers, and some of the things we asked about that they recognized we didn't have a lot of additional monies to spend, but this was something that they felt would get a lot of impact for what they're doing with it. It's inside the detention and what they'll ultimately work on with Andrea, but there's some really good things about making detention character building, getting some response out of that. And oh, by the way, to the public online here, there is a parental responsibilities portion. And we want us parents to be there to support the teachers. When our kids did something that caused them to be in detention, don't come yelling at the teacher. Don't come seeking the superintendent. Talk to your student, find out why they were there, support us at home. Let's help do this together. But that's going to be a real positive change to our environment. And we really appreciate the teachers bringing that forward in negotiations. Another very exciting thing that I think not only the teachers, but also parents will be excited about. 5 regular contract days will become non-contract days to recognize additional work teachers do outside of the regular day, tied to experimental lengthening of the school day. And ultimately what that ties to is shortening our calendar by 5 days. We are going to shorten our calendar by 5 days. We're going to add a few minutes in the beginning and a few minutes in the end inside of the existing transportation schedule to achieve those same educational goals in a shorter period of time and shorten our school calendar by 5 days. And wow, so maybe we'll graduate them as 8th graders. Yeah. Let me rephrase that, 5 days. But again, that was teachers working with us to find ways to improve our quality of lives for all involved, and doing it in ways that were not expensive to a constrained budget. Finally, and I guess there is one more, but all teachers will receive an $800 flat increase for the 24-25 school year. And the last one is, because of some of the legislative action that's taking place right now, we did agree that if the state passes new legislation regarding teacher minimum salaries, we will reopen the negotiation process in order to both follow the law and appropriately compensate all teachers. The last item is that a note is going to be placed in the bargaining minutes that if teachers are required by the state to put in additional days as the leader of a CTSO, which was help me with the acronym again, somebody.
Career Technical Student Organization, I believe.
Yes, Career Technical Student Organization Group. They would be compensated also for travel days. FFA is one, we already do that, but the state law is looking at requiring other things for like family consumer sciences and industrial arts, that they would also have and business, and they would also have a club. And that those teachers would also have to do things additional to drive that club and some summer activities. And we want to support that. And so we've asked that if that happens, we want the teachers to bring that back, say, hey, this is what's going on in my CTSO, what I need from the board, how many days that would take, and we would ultimately work that into their contracts moving forward. Sarah, Cherie, would you like to add some comments before we make our recommendation to the board?
You covered it very well.
Thank you.
I got one question.
Yes, sir.
So once the teacher's been employed in the district for 10+ years, something we've talked about in the past, and I think we've done in the past, is if a Lorenz teacher moved from there to here, we counted the Lorenz years towards the longevity of the district.
I think that's a great idea.
Because we've had several teachers here
that have
have taught at both, right?
Yep.
So
we definitely recognize it. I don't know if there's anybody in that circumstance who would be affected by it today. It's a good note, Chris.
it's something we've done before, so.
So with that, the committee would like to recommend to the board that we accept the signed tentative agreement, which has now been voted on and ratified by the Teachers Association. And so it's our opportunity to finalize the contract. So we have a motion on the tentative agreement from the Teachers Association.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Chris, seconded by Dustin, to accept the tentative agreement with the teachers for the 24-25 school year. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Sarah, I couldn't hear you.
Yes,
I knew you were there. Unanimous, motion carries. Thank you. All right. Again, to the teachers, thank you very much for a very collaborative and positive moving forward process. Next is to discuss, approve the replacement of the high school AHU unit in the shop area. There are 3 quotes inside your packet now. And Joe, if somebody wants to speak to how you guys, what you find in the quotes and what you want us to evaluate and consider.
I mean, if there's questions, I'll refer to Mike probably, but you've got 3 quotes in front of you. First one is 365 mechanical. That is local, out of Fort Dodge. You'll find that printed as page 33. It's on the digital 34, 35 probably.
Gotta reopen that.
Okay. Their estimate, their quote is $44,888. Next one down is Reliable One. Their quote is $53,040.42. And the third one.
82.
It's much higher, yeah. I'm trying to get to that page yet.
82, 825.
There you go.
Mike, are we comparing apples to apples? Are all 3 of those quotes? Okay, so lowest number, is that what you'd recommend here? Lowest bid?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
The only difference I saw between the lowest and the middle bid was the lead time on the equipment. So the lowest bid was a 10-week lead time and the middle bid was 2 to 4 weeks. How important or how fast do you need this replaced? How critical is it? Can we wait 10 weeks or?
Yes, we
not?
can wait 10 weeks.
I'm not sure you could hear Mike, but he said, yes, we can wait 10 weeks.
Okay.
So do we have somebody to hook up the sprinkler?
Yes.
Disconnect and hook it up?
Yep.
Any other questions?
And the controller, that just, some of the bids don't, like, some of them seem, they have a little more information. So the controllers are included in the 365 as well. And will they move the ductwork and adjust?
The 365 said, yeah, exclude FM controls and sprinkler line that need unhooked to move air handler. So there's no controls with them, correct?
No, no one has controls.
That's a separate vendor
Separate. That's
for all controls.
Because the Midwest Mechanical, he says his controller's included. And moving, I just, a friend of mine went through these three because I studied accounting and I don't know anything about HVAC. So a friend of mine went through and he actually called a couple of these guys. And that Midwestern Mechanical, he said the controller is included and they will actually move the sprinkler line. And he said something about 454B meets new standards. Do all three of these meet the new standards? They're required?
No. Is there three of them there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can answer that, not having these questions in advance.
Yeah, and I want to just apologize to the board and to Mike as well on this. We set the goal, moved the meeting back 1 week so that we could get the packets out sooner. And as we wrapped up negotiations and other things, we failed to do that this week and didn't get it out in enough time to ask some of these questions in advance. So if we're not ready to answer, we need to figure that out, get some questions pushed back to the board. Mike, would you have an estimate on, 1 second, Sarah. Mike, would you have an estimate on what a controller would cost separately in the first two quotes?
The meeting that they'd come back in and they would hook the system up. Controllers, whoever the control right there, I think if it was compatible to that, they would hook up, but not in control.
Okay.
I'd have to get hold of that control, that's where all everything, get that control.
In your recommendation is the lowest cost quote, which is $365, right? Yep. Sarah, your question?
I would also like information on, so the sprinkler and moving the lines, the electrical and the controller. Because it looks like that's what the other quotes didn't cover.
Right. Reliable, we have.
So to make the difference between that 40 and that 80, are those things 40,000 or, I don't know.
Yeah, and Mike was gonna say something there, so.
We were supposed to disconnect electrical to it, so big deal, but, the controls, I thought we were supposed to get, that's like reliable too, we're supposed to get the controls, the sprinklers, and disconnect electrical.
So what all can we handle in-house of all those?
Electrical,
Just electrical and the,
I can't do sprinklers, because they got.
Yeah. So we just need a price for that, how much that's gonna cost, is that,
And the controls.
okay. So that could be, we just don't know how much that is. So we don't know if we're gonna be higher than reliable one.
I thought reliable was, they don't touch the sprinklers, or the controls, or the electrical.
Yeah, it says not included in our price of sprinkler or electrical, which is the same thing as 365.
Correct.
So,
Is there any way that those things would cost close to $40,000?
Yeah.
That's kind of where our question is. No, it's not even ballpark, Mike. What are you talking about?
No more than 8.
Okay,
okay,
so we could take either the first two quotes and add $8,000 and have everything that's covered in the third quote at 82.
Well, okay, and then the other question was, is there a crane included to get it up on the roof or?
No. Units sitting on the ground.
These sit on the ground.
Oh, these sit on the ground, okay,
Between our chiller and the school, it's in between there.
okay,
They just have to get something that, their handlers are gonna have to get like a lift, I think, they got those.
okay.
We have a motion.
I'll move to approve the 365 mechanical.
I'll second.
All right. We have a motion from Chris, seconded by Jeff, to approve the quote from 365 Mechanical for $44,888. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion was unanimous. I didn't hear you, Sarah, just to be clear. Aye, okay. All Karen? Okay, motion carries. Next, we have, personnel. We do have a couple resignations. We are trying to learn and improve from places that we get feedback, right? And so, in one of the recent resignations, the teacher and spouse were concerned that the board didn't ask questions, weren't concerned about why maybe that person was resigning. And we have a couple folks resigning. We asked if they'd be willing to share their resignation statement. And we could never read these publicly without that person's permission, but they've given us their permission in this case. And so from Mr. Hoffman to the Pocahontas Board of Education. I have been asked to explain why I've submitted my resignation from PAC. I've been a teacher here since 2016 and have had a wonderful experience at this school. My wife is due in the next few weeks with our second child, and our first is going to be 3 years old this summer. With having a toddler and a newborn, my wife and I would benefit more from living near family, as both of our parents are over 3 hours away. We are moving to be closer to her parents, who will be a big help with our growing family. I have loved teaching and coaching at PAC and will always be thankful for my time here. Sincerely, Grant Hoffman. From Kennedy Halsrud, also again with permission. Pocahontas area schools, I am writing to inform you of my decision to resign from the position of 7th and 8th grade English teacher at Pocahontas Middle School, effective at the end of this school year. I greatly appreciate the opportunities that this school has provided me, as well as the support from the staff that has allowed me to grow within this role. It has been a privilege to be a part of this collaborative team and contribute to the education and development of our students. I have had nothing but positive experiences here at PAC. The staff and students have always been very friendly and supportive, which has helped me in significant ways as a new teacher. Each day, I feel as though I learned something new here. I cherish the chaos and laughter that my students bring me every day. My decision to leave stems from the opportunity I have to teach closer to home in a more familiar atmosphere at Humboldt Middle and High School. I completed my student teaching experience there and developed strong relationships with the staff and students. When a position became available in that district, I knew I had to apply. This district will be one that my nieces and nephews will attend, and that idea brings me joy. Over the next few months, I'm dedicated to supporting a seamless transition for my students and colleagues. I will do whatever I can to finish the year strong. I believe that Pocahontas will continue to excel in providing quality education to its students after I'm gone. Thank you for understanding. I'm excited about the opportunities that lie ahead and will always hold Pocahontas close to my heart. Thank you for being a great start to my teaching career. Sincerely, Kennedy Halsrud. And the third resignation we have is from Sarah Freeberg as drill team coach. And in that case, we just wanted you to know that she's been working on a transition plan for some time, and she's actually kind of handing over the reins to the person she's been developing. So those are the three resignations that we have before us and the information from each of those staff members. Do we have a motion?
Who was the second one?
Kennedy Halsrud, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Halsrud. Sorry, Kennedy.
All right, sorry. Do you have that on?
I think it got left off the sheet.
It's not on-
Because
it's not on the
that was a new one.
I don't see that.
I'll move to approve all three with appreciation for the district.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Chris, seconded from Jeff, to approve all three resignations with appreciation from the district for their time and service to us. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We have a new contract for Suzanne Merritt as Associate PT.
Part-time.
Part-time, thank you. Did you have so many acronyms, Joe?
I know,
That's what I was thinking,
it's
like
probably.
physical trainer. I was trying to figure out.
All right, part-time associate.
Move to.
For next year, 24-25 part-time associate. Move to approve. Mike, do we have a second?
Go ahead.
Seconded by Cherie. We have a motion from Mike, seconded by Cherie, to approve Suzanne Merritt, part-time associate for the 24-25 school year. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Sorry, sir. Okay. Next, we have a superintendent update from Joe.
Facilities Committee was working and met tonight before this meeting to go over. They're planning to meet again next week. We are having some additional issues with the HVAC units at the elementary. We've got one right now that is not communicating with the controllers or the control system. So that basically leaves one room without heat coming up, given the forecast, which is problematic, and we're gonna start on a plan B for that. This is an ongoing issue that the Facilities Committee, at some point, we're gonna need to talk about. The units are the originals from the remodel, which are not that old, but yet are problematic for us. They're out of Canada, and getting parts to some of these units is becoming increasingly difficult for us. It took us 2 or 3 months just to find a compressor for one of the classrooms at a fairly substantial dollar figure. So just want you to be aware of those challenges and that we're continuing to try to work through some plan Bs. We've got some other areas where we are manually adjusting because the control modules, which is another unit that has to be replaced, is also not responding the way they're supposed to. Also been working, sending out inquiries to area school districts to see if we've got anyone potentially interested in sharing human resources. Been talking with one superintendent, which will continue conversations. They're checking with their person to see if there's a possibility there. But right now, that is the only bite, so to speak, at this point in time, nibble. But there are also some other agencies that do provide those services remotely, and we'll continue to explore those as well.
Anything else on that?
Nope.
Okay. That kind of wraps up the normal business section. We're going to move into a couple updates on our future looking stuff. And one of the things that we wanted to get out and talk about a little bit was getting a master calendar developed for the board itself. Okay? And a couple different things that we want to touch base on. We have the portrait of the graduate survey information that's in our packets today. And we need to schedule a working session to work on that. We have some of the SWOT feedback. And we need to schedule a working session to work on that. Coming up in April is our tentative plan session with the Iowa School Board Association representatives to help us work through that next stage of strategic planning. And we also kind of want to get our committee agendas onto a master calendar where we know where we're at with those. As far as our normal calendar, Joe, if you'd speak to how our normal business section of the calendar is developed.
So each month when we're putting together the school board agenda, the draft piece, when we're talking about policy reviews, we have a 5-year plan that we use for the renewal of those policies. In terms of the month to month, we typically go back 2 years worth of the agendas for that particular month, in addition to the month before and the month after, because some of our items move depending upon when they're available. Like your audit isn't always available at the exact same time, so that shifts. So you've got to look a little bit before and behind. When Tony and I had our last meeting with IASB, they asked whether or not we had a published type calendar. So we're in the process right now of compiling that information broken down by month of the typical items that appear that are repetitive in nature each year. And then obviously you've got your items that just pop up that have to be approved.
So I wanted to spend just a little bit of time, if we could, talking about what we have coming up in the calendar as well as from the different groups. We could throw a little calendar up on the wall, tape up a whiteboard. We can just talk about it. Just kind of get a mental visual around it. We'll get some notes built into our calendar, but we want to have at least our initial version of the strategic plan in place on July 1st. That has to be done at our board meeting in June. And so that's why we're targeting that first drafting session with IA School Board in April. And so kind of the question becomes now between where we sit today on 318 and middle of next month, we're going to try to have 2 working sessions, then a working session with IASB. Were you able to confirm the date? Was that the 11th that she suggested? Do you have that, Sarah?
April 11th.
April 11th?
Yes, I have a picture, it's April 11th,
Okay, perfect, thank you.
6:30 PM in the comments.
April 11th, 6:30 PM in the Commons. That's when we're going to get together with IA School Board and start working on some of the different elements where we broke things into those 5 different ribbons and 4 different areas and what the different ribbons are and what we looked at in that training session last month. So portrait of a graduate and SWAT sessions. If we asked Joe to send out surveys of available dates between now and April 11th, could we target getting the portrait of a graduate done between now and April 1st and the SWAT done sometime between April 1st and April 10th? That seem like reasonable targets for everybody? So Joe, if you would, put out a couple surveys. So we want one for our portrait of a graduate session to be between now and the end of March, and one between April 1st and April 10th to work on our SWOT. And at that one, we're going to take the SWOT data that's come back from the staff and from each of the areas that the administration's helped us push the survey out to. And we're going to be able to gather that data with our own thoughts and kind of formulate the board's version of the SWOT before we go into that planning session with IASB. Dustin, you've been scheduling some committee meetings for us. We did meet with Pocahontas City Council today. We still need to hit a couple others, and you've been able to.
Yeah, I've got a hold of Plover and Rolfe and Palmer. I don't think I got a hold of Havelock yet to see when their city council meetings are.
That kind of blends right over into some of our committee updates. So I'm starting to ask questions in the next section. So I'm going to stop a second, stay on top of this master calendar one. First, is everybody in approval with developing the master calendar for the board, which would show us basically month by month what our expectations would be, and then we're also able to figure out where we want to add other things in when we want to. And that we would also keep our committee planning meetings on that same master board calendar. Everybody good with developing that and good with targeting those next 2 sections between 318 and 41 for the portrait of a graduate, and 41 and 410 for the SWAT.
Entirely depends on the days.
Right, and we're gonna send out surveys.
Really busy
15
time.
It is.
Busy time.
That's right. If you're stirring dirt, you're not gonna stop.
No.
Okay. 2 budget meetings in between the 2. So what other things do we have to fit on the calendar, and where do those fit in? So those budget working
The first one's
sessions?
April 1st, the second one will be April 15th at the regular board meeting. The first one has to be April 1st for the proposed tax notice that's being sent out by the auditor. That is new this year.
Could we target our SWAT session being around that April 1st meeting we have anyway?
It's usually a fast meeting.
It is, and that one should be.
Right.
But we have
That
to-
one should be
11
quick.
meeting, right?
But it's brand new.
So if you could send out a survey for availability between now and April 1 for portrait of a graduate, we do the SWOT on April 1. We'd have some time to think about that data before we met with IASB 10 days later. What's the other budget meeting, Joe? And that has to be at
That
the
one
meeting
will
on
be
the
at the
15th.
15th, but it'll be 2 separate meetings, but it'll be that same night.
Good. Other things coming up on the normal calendar of events for the board?
What time is that meeting on April 1st?
7. It was sent out, should have been sent out with superintendent update.
7 PM on the 1st, Sarah.
So we want to do portrait of a graduate prior to the April 1 date. April 1 then would become the slot.
Yeah.
And the proposed tax notice.
And April 11th is the IASB session. And April 15th is the third Monday of the month. Yeah, as we start stacking all these things up, you see why we want to talk about having a master board calendar. It's filling up pretty quickly, and some things that we strategically really still want to drive before the end of the year and adjust accordingly so that we don't try to overtax the system, but still be able to accomplish what we need to going into next school year. Okay, I don't know that necessarily requires any sort of motion there. All right, so let's go into discussing the committee updates, and we'll go through and hit the PR committee ones first. First of all, this is an apology. Last month, we missed the PR committee updates on the agenda. You guys ever see me miss a bullet item on our list, please call me out on it. I had to apologize to some folks who I had committed in Pomeroy that I was going to speak to that in the PR section. And then we didn't do the committee meeting notes. I'm going to start with that one first. This was actually done back in February, but in the PR committee meeting with Pomeroy, we're going to each of the city councils, as well as we've been to the Farm Bureau. And we're meeting with each one of them and basically offering to partner more fully, asking how we work and communicate together currently, how we could improve. We have a general discussion about how the school is central to the quality of life issues for each community, and we want to understand how to achieve our combined goals, how to maximize where we work together or spend money together on the same kids. And initial focus was on how we utilize tax and joint grant monies to drive student outcomes, economic development, overall quality of life, and local career opportunities. That's some very good feedback from Pomeroy. Sorry, that was just closed on me. Mayor Lodes identified some ways that the citizens of Pomeroy compare PAC with Manson, helped us understand some of the survey data, and really asked us, what PAC's doing on mental health support and some ease of website use and things that some citizens of their area find important to them. We talked about how we're covering those areas currently. We talked a little bit about where the RFP was. Police Chief Gertis indicated a desire for more communication with PAC and recognizes that this is a targeted thing that we're working on. And Fire Chief and City Councilman Dan DeBoer cited a couple different areas. One was safety and access to the Pomeroy building, noted an example where the doors got chained previously. And there we have extended, when we had the fire alarm circumstance, we're getting some keys to Dan, we're making sure that he knows, and that there's an open rapport there. In doing so, we were able to identify where the communication really goes both ways, and that had some great conversations with Mayor Lodes and how we, in the past, could have communicated better, but how we're doing that now and need to keep doing that going forward to avoid things that come up. And so one other request that they had from Pomeroy was around the school bus barn and a potential request for that to be purchased by the city of Pomeroy, or for the school board to discuss whether or not 2 bays could be made available to Pomeroy for their fire department. That was it from the city of Pomeroy. I would like to highlight that one last item about the school bus barn, and if you guys are all in favor, I would include that in the agenda discussion when we bring the RFP back, whether that's RFP good news or RFP no news. Can we talk about how those also impact Pomeroy in our next meeting schedule? This is something that was voted on by the board previously. Chris, I don't know if you could speak to maybe any history on that.
On the bus barn?
On the bus barn down there? Yeah.
I think it wasn't really voted on, but it was discussed.
Sure.
And at that time, we were still using the bus barn and saw no future in not using it.
And we'd have to ask Jeff to come and speak to us how we're using it there. And so I'd like to, let's put that on the agenda.
No problem talking about it, but No, we never voted on anything on it.
So that'd be something we could put on the agenda in April and ask Jeff to come and speak to, and we'll see where that's at. We'll have the RFP detail back to you guys before then. Okay, Farm Bureau, had a really good meeting with those folks. They also partner with us already in a lot of areas. They drive some scholarships. They, so I'm trying to get back to the PR committee notes. All right, so basically they definitely like the FFA water testing that we're doing. That's going well. They'd gotten involved with a grant to procure equipment for us so that we could do some water testing for the local farmers. They cover gas cards also. It gives really good data to the farmers. This is currently run through the FFA, and they would just like us to continue to encourage participation in that, and they'd be willing to come and present that program to new students if that would help drive kids who would want to be involved with it. They're also doing scholarships. They had some questions about our greenhouse. They'd like for them to know what's going on with the greenhouse and some goals going forward. Maybe they could work with us on test plots. They did suggest that it might be interesting for the school to look at using our greenhouse and studying carbon footprint testing, that there's a lot of science around that now, around the evolution of vertical farming in cities. And they cited one Portugal cattle farm example that uses greenhouses, and they harvest daily, every day, 365 days a year to feed 700 cattle. And I said, hey, pretty cool ideas, something that we'd like to have FFA maybe meet with Farm Bureau and see if there's something that might be interesting coming out of that. They do participate in fruit and livestock at the fair. As far as farm families, they said, transportation, the buses are pretty empty now. For a lot of them, moved to vans if that made sense for us. We discussed the very large geography of our district and bus riding times. They're very understanding of that as well. They also mentioned where they come to do some things with the agronomy class. They do 14 classes throughout the semester. They do chickens and things in grades 1 through 3. Brad and John come and present to the 4th graders each year. They really enjoy that and like to keep doing that. They asked about how we're doing with our VOTEC area, and we talked about how far that's come this year, and what would be coming up in our April meeting. As far as expanding, they'd like to see the ag program and FFA competitions outside of the fair. They'd like to see us pursuing awards and banners just like you could in sports. So there's a lot of those things that are done in the ag area, and they would love to help us fund that if we have kids who are interested in pursuing those things. And some May internships. If we start doing something like that, whether it's livestock farms or a farmer ride along, or the last thing they'd mentioned was drone work. Drone spraying probably isn't good for us because of some of the chemical issues, but they said, hey, if our kids wanted to take drone photography, there are aspects of insect and how we're doing with water, moisture in the field, stuff like that, that there are valuable services that those programs could provide. Again, very much whatever they could do to partner more with us, and they are one who would very much like to pursue some grants and things. All right, last on our PR committee, we did go to the Pocahontas City Council today, rolled out the same concepts. They're more interested kind of in some of the graduate type things. Also wanted to know how we're doing in the VOTEC area. Areas that we might spend some money together on summer sports and things like that. Also very, very positively received, and asked that we work with economic development, which brings me to the last thing for that committee, and that is Mary Jo Litweiler from Economic Development reached out to us with a survey and is asking if we would participate in some classes which aren't scheduled yet. So there's 2 questions she would like to ask of us if the board is willing to participate. This was what was shared to you guys via email, but there'll be two questions that I'm gonna ask Joe to, forward to everybody. And, there we are, thank you. What would be three things that you would want people in that class to know about being on the school board? And do you feel there are misconceptions about the board? If so, what are they and why? This is a committee that is in charge of designing an Inspire POCO leadership series. They conducted an online survey of what people in Pocahontas County wanted to learn about. Under the government section, our residents wanted to learn more about city council, city hall, school board, supervisors, and economic development. And so they don't have dates and times yet, but if we would be willing to answer those two questions, and if some of us might be willing to go attend those courses. So I'm going to push the questions out to you guys via email. We'll just do a survey answer of those. And when Mary Jo has classes scheduled, we'll come back and ask if anybody wants to participate. That's everything I have from the PR committee section. Yeah, go ahead, Sarah.
It'd be interesting to see with the family and consumer sciences, and the ag, if they would grow things in their greenhouse that could be used by family and consumer sciences.
That'd be fun. Definitely.
And tie it together, yeah.
Other committees, I know that there was a committee meeting right before the meeting tonight, from the facilities committee. If somebody from that group would want to tell us how that went.
I just want to say thank you for doing all of this with the PR committee. That's a lot of meetings. And I appreciate that. It takes a lot of time.
And
A lot of
facilities,
time.
oh, go ahead.
Like
You
it.
know,
Yeah, yeah.
Facilities committee met, we probably should have met it for an hour. We met for half an hour. We're gonna re-meet next Monday for at least an hour. The custodians back there had a list for us, and we got some that's gotta be done, things that have to be done immediately, but we gotta work on trying to get grants for it first. I guess it's been brought to my attention by Dustin. The state has given grant money out to do security stuff, and we got doors and the buzz-in stuff and everything else that we gotta have done sometime, because it sounds like they're really pushing, the state's really pushing for that. So it sounds like we're gonna try to find somebody to write a grant so we can get some money for that. And then we gotta put some other stuff in whatever order we want to do it in, and there's a list. There's a pretty good list. It's a work in progress.
Yeah, it's probably 20, 25 things, like you're saying. And it's Mike, Jeff, and Greg, and the other department, possibly Phil, I assume. But to come up with, the top needed things here. And then we can move on from those, whatever they might be, like, fixing the curb out here, that's busted up, and just things that take precedent over others too. But yeah, and we'll meet next week. Thanks, Mike and Jeff, for that meeting.
From the sharing committee, we did have the sharing meeting with Lorenz, and I thought that went very positively. One note that I wanted to make out of that, lots of positive feedback has come in from people who watched it online. Teachers watched that, had some ideas to bounce off of Tracy. She's still working on some different things. So even like the camps coming up, appreciate you guys coming. Appreciate the conversation we had. We're going to keep building on momentum on this side on that. One other committee question, and was emailed to the board, but the PAC Foundation, Joe, can you give us some feedback on who's in it, kind of the last time they met, what that group is? Because this is a group that helps us hopefully get money, get some grants, do some things for the community, get some funds in, but we haven't been very active in that, right?
Correct. And this is an outside organization, so the PAC Foundation is not directly tied to the school district. All right, so this is an outside group. If you go way back in time, there was a period of time that it was also not very active, and we had to resurrected basically, because even the charters and some of the pieces had expired. So we had to refile for 28Es, excuse me, not 28Es. Oh, I'm gonna lose 501c3, thank you. So as far as who is currently serving on that, we'll have to do some checking for you.
Is that something you can just look into and rather than waiting for the next board meeting, just push that out to the board meeting? Yeah. All right, any other updates from the working committee groups? Okay. Last item on the public portion of our agenda then is the board takeaways. And we are gonna have a closed session after that. Coming out of that closed session, there's nothing that we expect to be reporting to the public. So I'd like to take this time, if we could, go around with the board, kind of give your 1 or 2 comments of your takeaways from this meeting or things that you want to put more focus on going forward, questions like that. Anybody want to go first tonight?
My takeaway is that I'm happy the collective bargaining committee got that done as fast as they did this year. Everything seemed pretty seamless. I was not on it, but appreciate those that were, the work they did, both sides.
It was nice to go and recognize the new members to the National Honor Society. That was probably the highlight of the night, really.
I do like it, and historically we get invited, but it's maybe not always the best attended. And it's something that as a board, we won't have a conflict scheduled with it next year, but we should make an effort to be there.
Sure.
Powerful recognition, thanks.
I just learned that we have a PAC foundation.
Right?
But I also liked how we read the registration, so when people are, resignation. So people who are wondering, here it is. I like that.
That's what I was gonna say too. Just like Dustin did, I was gonna say that the resignations, I really liked that section. It was really good to hear. I'm sorry we're losing them.
As well, but I really do like the fact and appreciate and thank you to those teachers because their willingness is the only reason that we can share that with the public.
Right.
So it's really important that they're willing to do so. We thank them for that. Yeah?
I'd just say, I'd like the updates on what our committees have been doing. And I think we need to continue that, even if it's like with us with this facility, it was a short meeting, we didn't have much, but we need to have open communication anytime we have a committee meeting.
Sarah?
Mine was, I really missed seeing the student council update today in person. So I love the communication and I feel like a lot of, not only have the public communicated well, the teachers, the committees, the staff, the administration. So I really see a lot clearer communication. It seems easier to follow and lots more for transparency, and I'm really excited about that.
Thank you. I agree with what all your comments were, and I echo those. We are making a lot of progress. I guess what I want to highlight as that takeaway is the next month, 2 months are still pretty hectic. We've made great strides, and we are going to continue to do so. But we want to go into 24, 25 with a different level of strategic plan than we've had in the past. And we're really gaining on that front, and the teachers, the staff, the administration want to recognize that this is a busy time of year, and I know when these surveys come out that that's extra work. And to the teachers who haven't responded to some of those, we want you to know that that voice is going to be heard. That data is going to be aggregated into what our response is. If you're not comfortable that the 20% or so that has responded to that survey is representing your voice, please respond and let us know, because it really matters. And we are trying to get all those stakeholders' opinions, and very excited that our contracts are completed as well. That was a big highlight. I'm glad to have that done. Okay, and so with that, that wraps up our board takeaways. Do we have a motion to go to our closed session?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Is that a roll call, okay?
Yep.
It is, sorry.
Justin,
Yes.
Yes.
Chris,
Yep.
Sarah,
Yes.
Donnie,
Yes,
Mike,
Yeah.
Jeff.
Yes.
Carrie. We're in closed session. Sarah, I'm just gonna carry you into it. Yeah, we'll take a quick rest. We'll be there in just 2 minutes.
That's cool. Watch 3 hours. Oh, I know I did. Thank you, though. This will be fun. Yeah. Good luck. Thanks for letting me use that. Yep, no worries. You got your phone from up there, right? I'm going home.
After you get back tomorrow, we take your day on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you'll probably have to,
Oh,
yeah, we'll have it there, but we'll let you know.
there was actually something wrong with it.
Yeah, there's 2 things. One is, some vacuum deal on the fuel tank, and then it's got a misfire on cylinder.
I'll be back by.
Okay, thanks, Tom.
Get my water.
Yeah.
Everybody here?
and switches in his place is at.
I'm not sure, right?
I was looking, I'm not finding it. Yeah, it's the top left.
There's some
Purpose.
picked up. Wow, we still.
Okay, just bringing you back on speakerphone for the last vote here.
I moved to come out of closed session.
I'll second that.
Motion by Chris.
Mike,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Sarah,
Sarah?
Sheree,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Kip.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Jeff, did you second?
I did.
Meeting adjourned. Thanks, Sarah.
21 hours into my day right now.
What's that?
I think we all are.
So I'm-